Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Organized Real Estate. I'm Clint Skutchan with T360, oversee the Organized Real Estate division here. And so, boy, what a day this is. I get to interview one of my favorite interviewers, and it just turns out that he's just so happens to be my boss too. But what a fortunate place I'm in. So, Stefan, thank you for taking some time out of the schedule today.
Of course, Clint, good morning. If you're still in the morning time zone, like where I am, some of you in the afternoon time zone, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. It's hard to know where you're at if I try to follow your travels, although easier these days. Tell me something. I want to ask you this because I say that in jest, but in all seriousness, I think you are one of the great interviewers I've ever seen. And if anyone has the fortunate time to spend with you on a one-on-one level, you just have that natural kind of quizzical nature to you. And I was visiting with someone yesterday and we asked them about the power of persuasion. And they said, I don't really like to persuade as much as to help people realize what they really were thinking. And I think that's your quizzical nature, and your energy is natural that way. So when you're on stage, you're no different than you are off stage. And so when you sit in a one-on-one conversation, you're really great at that. So have you always been that way? Is that just nature truly, or is it something that you've discovered over time?
My kids or my wife will tell you, not only am I the same on stage that I am, as you said, at work, I'm like that at home and on vacation. So I drive them nuts. Clint, I'm passionate about life. I'm passionate about what I do. I was blessed from the big guy above with an enormous amount of energy, and I use it. If I do something, I absolutely believe in doing it well and right, and you will catch me doing scheduling and being inquisitive whether I'm on vacation or planning to go to the beach. I do the same, and it's not that I can't relax, but I relax with intensity. I do everything with intensity. I just care for everything I do. I don't like doing anything half-heartedly, unless you have no choice, and I believe that I have a choice in just about everything I do.
Yeah. Tell me on the flip side of that, because you speak with a lot of folks around the country. Is there someone that's interviewed you that you looked at them and said, wow, that person really put together a good interview, and that there was something to take away from that?
I have not been interviewed actually that much. I have generally said no. I would put you on my two hands of people that have interviewed me. Well, you haven't yet. You've got to do it today. Generally, I don't like, I wouldn't say I don't like, I have generally not opened myself up to be interviewed. I've generally interviewed other people. And it is the people that are good interviewers, in my opinion, are people that are comfortable, open, honest, sincere, go with the flow, and are not trying to come up with a hidden agenda. I don't like sometimes the media, which appear to often have a hidden agenda. I dislike politics immensely, but when people have hidden agendas and other motives, and they're reading from a script and they're trying to get you to say something, attorneys, right? They're trying to get you in a deposition. They're trying to get you to say something which is wrong. Those are not pleasant. When somebody is sincere and they want to extract information from me or from anybody else with the primary purpose of sharing with other people and helping and enriching the discussion and making things better, and maybe passing along information that is not sensational, not political, no hidden motive, but it's there to try and educate or learn or help or discuss or just simply have a good time. Those are the best. Sincerity.
I think that's true in every course of life, though, and that's what allows you to live the way you do when you're on vacation, or whether you're, pressing us as your staff to do better and think more and do all that. I think that's if you live that and you are who you are, that it comes across and makes it easier to have conversations with folks. Let me ask you this question. Elon Musk has been making all sorts of headlines of recent, but one thing I saw that I really liked from him, and I was curious as to how you would answer this, is what's one of the hardest problems that you've ever had to solve, and ultimately, how did you solve it?
Hardest problem. I don't think I would be able to tell you that. maybe like Mission Impossible, I'd have to kill you then. But no, honest problem. I think that all problems where you move into a territory that is uncertain, unknown, and where there are a large number of factors outside of your control, they're in the control of whether it's another company or a boss or a president of the country or the economy, but things where you have a little bit less influence over the outcome, those are all harder. It's easier when you're a sole proprietor or you're doing something yourself and you're driving it. But as soon as you have employees, as soon as you have team members, as soon as you have partners, as soon as you have companies, as soon as you have association with members, right? It's no longer just what you do, it's what you do for a collective. And a collective always has, unfortunately, a difference of opinion. So the more chiefs, the more Indians, and those are always hard. So it is never to try and manipulate somebody else, but it is to try and understand other people the way that they would like to be understood, not just your own interpretation of, but trying to understand the people, then trying to understand where they're coming from, their environment, their circumstances, what made them to end up with the point of view that they have. Because their point of view is not wrong, it's just, of course, different to yours. And you might have more logic behind your point than they have behind theirs, but you have to understand their circumstances. And then you have to try and see, is there a way in which I can come up with a plan or a collective plan or an amended plan or a smorgasbord of options that would lead to a solution that would address as many of those potential viewpoints as possible. We all know that I don't believe in black and white, meaning that I don't believe in extremes. I believe in compromise, and I believe that there's a solution to everything. I believe that there's a gray path for everyone, which means that the solution often is not the extreme of to the very left or to the very right of something, but it is, and it's always not in the middle either, right? If you want to be in Europe and I want to be in America, then we can't solve and say that we're going to be in the middle in the Atlantic Ocean and just stay there. So you've got to find a solution that sometimes it may be 70, 30, 80, 20, 90, 10. I don't know where it is, but you find something that is principally acceptable, fair, and reasonable to the majority of the people that you have to take into consideration and that you have to accommodate. Those are the hard ones. And whether that applies, I've been executive officer of an association, a realtor association. I've been executive officer of an MLS. I've been CEO of a national franchise, global franchise in real estate. And in all of those companies, there were situations like that, where I had board members that I didn't like. I had board members that I didn't agree with. I had board members who were just being a pain in the ass, right? But they were board members. I had to respect that. I had to work with that. And it's finding that solution amongst a variety of circumstances that you sometimes think, damn, why did I ever take this job? I should just run away. And good leaders don't run away, right? Good leaders sit down and say, all right, back to the drawing board. I'll find a way that I can keep everybody happy. Or as many as I possibly can.
You may have hit on a crux of many conversations we're going to have over the course of our visit here, but let's switch and get more specific to kind of the real estate world, and for our audience who predominantly has that organized real estate purview. Talk a little bit about the Trends Report. It's now 16 years in. I think it's a staple for so many leaders, and they go in and it's that kind of they study that and try and figure out how to carry that forward through their strategic thinking. What are the trend items that you're in this year's? And I know it's like picking your favorite child, but in this case, which ones has the greatest relevancy for organized real estate leaders in the Trends Report this year? And your summation.
Okay. Well, let me first quickly say thank you to the audience of anybody who is a loyal follower, reader, or supporter of the Trends Report. We appreciate that very, very, very much. Your support has allowed us to continue. Now I sound like a PBS station. Oh boy. Okay. It started 16, 17 years ago, mainly because of my own frustration. I was a CEO at the time, still am, but I was here at the time, and I wanted information. I wanted data. I wanted knowledge. And I was tired of reading things that I felt were press releases. I was tired of reading things that I felt were just being quoted off a stage, which were not accurate. I was looking for data and I couldn't find data. So I ended up doing my own homework, my own research, and my own research subsequently led to a document which we today know is the Trends Report, but it led to a document that I created for me and my team, and then subsequently we shared that out. The report every year is brand new. It is not a rewrite of last year's report in any shape or form. We truly every year start with a clean sheet of paper. And when we start with that clean sheet of paper around about the summer, we basically say to ourselves, what at the moment have I seen, heard, read, whispers in the passages, on stage, in Inman, and anywhere that I believe gives me the indication that this concept, this product, this company, this trend, this strategy has legs. I try and disregard everything that is political. I disregard anything that is local or parochial. I try and disregard anything that I think is a fad. And we try and look at something, will this item, product, trend, service, will it grow into something bigger? Will it have a bigger impact? Will it impact MLSs, associations, brokerages, franchises, technology companies, vendors, coaches? Will it impact the industry, right? Brokers and agents. And when will it happen? So the report is not a 10-year forward-looking document. It is a 12, 18, 24 months. Because I think we can see that far ahead. That's looking at the horizon. I can see the horizon. I can't see the other side of the horizon. But I can see the horizon. So for me, the horizon is this year, next year. I think we can get our hands around that. Of course, there's always surprises. Yeah. Zillow yesterday was a surprise. So no, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Right. But there's always some surprises out there. But I think if you said what would be important today, where we are at the beginning of 2021, in not exact order, but I think I can recite my report because I know my report, but I'm going to take it roughly in the order I would put it for associations and MLSs, right? Organized real estate. I would say, broadly speaking, this probably applies more to your members than to you, but I would say the affordability of housing, just the fact that the prices are going up and up and up and up and up and up, right? So I don't have to discuss that. The people on this call are super smart. They get that, right? Housing is expensive, has always been, is continuing to get more expensive. Thank God for cheap mortgage rates. Number 4, the addition, offering, expansion of ancillary or things that we as brokers tend to refer to as ancillary services, mortgage, title, escrow, home inspection, valuation, all of those additional things, as each of those verticals or niches are attempting to become more powerful, more dominant, they are stepping on each other's toes. And we have companies that want to go public and want to buy each other up to wazoo. So ancillary services may not be ancillary for much longer. We might just refer to everything bundled together under some kind of a holding company, partnership, relationship, strategic alliance, joint venture, something of the like. Number 3, I think this one probably impacts the people on this call more. I'm not going to just call it technology as we refer to it, but I would say the constant redefining of what technology is able and capable of doing. Yes, we all understand what we can use technology for. It's computer power, its ability to reach out far distances, the ability to communicate, the ability to social, the ability to Word and Excel and document and store and all that kind of stuff. That is so 1990, right? Get over that stuff. So we're talking about the fact that technology is being constantly developed on the platform of other technology, which was developed only last year or the year before. So we have this constant redefining of the rules of what technology can or cannot do. And it is simply amazing. We are leveraging and climbing at an exponential curve. So 20 years ago, you could take 2 years to learn technology. 10 years ago, you could take a year. Now, whatever you know about technology, it could be in a matter of months that it is slowly becoming obsolete, right? Or becoming dated or becoming outdated, or where you thought that this was going to be significantly to your advantage because you were so progressive. Something 12 months from now, it's so also ran and everybody's got it, no big deal. That was 3. Number two. I would say just the whole aspectness of cloud and virtual and online. I mean, of course, it's hard to talk about our industry and not refer to EXP, but EXP is merely one example. They probably are the best example, but they are one example of that we no longer are bound by the restraints that we believed that we had 2 or 3 decades ago. meaning an office, a corner shop, a location. Of course, there are many benefits of offices. We all understand that we all want to go back to the office. We want to hug somebody. It's nice to have a meeting and a party, and we want to have a meeting space, and most of us have to sit somewhere. But still, the whole aspect of office space, retail space, whether that's Macy's redefining, Kmart redefining, or a brokerage company redefining, we are redefining the rules of what it means, whether that's total size square foot per agent, or even a brokerage, an association. I mean, why does an association need an office? I'm sure everybody in the call will give me 100 reasons why we do need one. I mean, I might be able to give you one or two good ones why you don't need one, right? So we are redefining that, and we're struggling with that. And then number one, unequivocally number one, the last 4 or 5 years, and I think will still be for another couple of years, is the disproportionate large influx of capital, investment, working money into our business, and the exorbitant pricing that is occurring in the acquisition of companies, the IPO of companies, the market capitalization of companies. If you and I are both entrepreneurs and you have a couple of $100,000, or maybe you've got $1 million and I've got $1 million, then the fight, the battle, the challenge is somewhat comparable. When you suddenly say, well, this guy's got $1 million and this guy's got $1 billion, this guy's got 10 million and this guy's got 10 billion, everything that you thought you knew goes out the window. Rules are redefined. If people can create companies out of almost nothing, technology, a dream, and some spit, and build a $10 billion company in a matter of really a few years, but even some months. Now, they might fail, doesn't matter. You can fail too. We can all fail. Failure is not only limited to rich people, right? Failure is available for everybody, but so is success available for anybody. And although we always say success comes from hard work, and most certainly it does, you can also, in some regards, buy success. It might be short-lived, but you can buy success because you can buy other companies. So I would say affordability, ancillary, technology, virtualness, and money.
Yeah, that last one being a pretty good segue into a bit of recent news, and Zillow, of course, acquiring Showing Time is generating quite a response. And for me, the lens that I look through in organized real estate, these things generally get reflected in blame and assumptions and those types of things. And so it's not even necessarily the act of Zillow buying Showing Time, it's all the pieces that go into it. What was your kind of read on that? I suppose it's one of those things that if we haven't been paying attention, we should maybe start now, because this isn't something new that they acquire these types of services.
What did I think about it? Damn, that's a smart move. That is exactly what I would have consulted if I was your consultant recommending you should do that. I mean, come on, guys, give me a break. Zillow is, 16 years old this year, right? Launched in 2005. So 16 years old, it today passed $200 a share. It's got a market cap of what? That would give it about $44 billion. So $44 billion. That is multiple X's more than Realogy and Keller and Remax and all of those put together, multiple X's more. If you have that much money, the stock was last year, this time approximately, so give or take Q1, January, February, when it fell in February, the stock was probably down to $30. And it's now, what is it today, $200? So if you've had a 600% increase in your stock in 12 months, and you could buy everything with a 85% discount, why would you not buy? I mean, this is like saying real estate is on an 85% discount. You can now buy everything you want. Sure, you'll buy. Zillow has money, they have stock, they have value. If I was them, I wouldn't stop buying. I would buy anything I wanted. I would buy anything that would be strategically valuable to me. Now, you or I might not like it. That's your problem. Right? In a company or a country of democracy and capitalism, your competitors will never do what you want them to do. They're going to do things that they can do and want to do. And if Zillow is a company out there, they are no longer new to the industry. They have as much reason, purpose, value and right to our industry as any other brokerage company out there. As a matter of fact, they were in the industry before EXP, before Compass. You could rather say Compass is the new guy. So how come, I'm not saying Compass is, but how could Compass complain about Zillow? Maybe it should be the other way around. I mean, Zillow is part of our industry the same way that DocuSign or Realogy or Compass is. Guys, that's competition. That is business. We should not be surprised and say, well, I have a relationship with ShowingTime, now they've done something. Yeah, you had a relationship maybe with Market Leader, with Trulia, with .lu. Companies have been bought in the past, and by no means is this going to be the last. I think we'll see there was another transaction also announced yesterday. Fathom did another deal, which T3 actually was the negotiating party involved in putting that transaction together. And we are involved at the moment with a number of other ones. Not that we're initiating them. People have money. There is liquidity in the market. Companies have gone public. They are, I wouldn't say flush with cash, but they have more money than they at this point in time need. So the best way is to use those assets wisely by acquiring other assets that strategically would help you grow.
Yeah. And I think that's hard to swallow at times when, you know, maybe you're not as monetized, or you don't have it, to your point earlier, you don't have the ability to think at that same strategic level, and you've got to work through boards and all these things. We always talk about slowness of associations and MLSs to be able to respond, to think. And so that leads to a lot of criticism. Yesterday, Zillow announced their earnings, and, you know, it was funny, you go to Inman and there's no comments on that, which is phenomenal. And like, there's so many things in there that are like, just wow. To take away, no comments on that. You go to the acquisition page and it's just lit up, and a lot of it's reverting back to what we've heard often. And I do a lot of survey work with associations and MLSs, and even through COVID, when you ask them what's the biggest threat, you know, Zillow's in the middle of any word cloud you want to generate, and so they're still out there. And so there's a lot of blame that gets oriented towards organized real estate not doing enough. In your estimation, you know, is there anything that organized real estate, which is really the individuals again, to clarify, is there something that they've done that really enabled or that they could have done to really thwart or offset Zillow's move into real estate that they just didn't do? Or is this just healthy competition and their models winning out? Because there's always this claim of stop them, you know, so get my data back, do all those things, leave them. Is there anything that there was a misstep in your mind from an organized real estate standpoint in relation to Zillow?
A way bigger discussion that we should have offline rather than online, because this is days, right? This is hours. But it is not, in my opinion, an association's role to prevent or to block any company from succeeding or not succeeding. An association shouldn't be vouching for Keller Williams instead of Compass, or Realogy instead of Remax. We are a non-profit association which is there to serve the industry, and Zillow is, and in many cases is, part of the industry. They have real estate professionals working for them, or real estate executives for them. They will probably, or they might in the future, have more, and so will other companies, and therefore we have to take care of them. Our associations should not see Zillow as a competitor. We're not competing for the same thing. The same as, I know that we also, as associations, we get mad at the franchises. Well, they're having an event and we have events, and well, you're not a franchise. You can't prevent a franchise from having a franchise event. You can't prevent Zillow from having an event. You can't prevent T3 from having an event, right? There are different services that do overlap. Our industry, and yes, our associations are sometimes, I mean, remember the movie, what was it, Zootopia? The sloth behind the DMV counter, which moved so slowly. I mean, our industry does move slowly. And it's not just the associations. I'm not knocking the associations. Our industry moves slowly. If you think about it, Realtor.com was launched in 1995. That was the attack of the portal, right? And you were going down, right? 1995. That's a quarter of a century ago. A quarter of a century ago, right? We're still going down, right? Things take a long time to evolve. If you look at when Zillow was launched, it's 16 years ago, and we're still worried about something that was launched 16 years ago. We're still giving the same reasons. associations, MLSs should take the next step. Let's get away from this sky is falling crap. Let's get away from this doomsday, excuse the word, BS. I'm not going to say what it is. Blue sky, right? Doomsday BS. So no, not doomsday BS. The industry is transforming. Absolutely. It is transforming. Of course it's transforming. Thank God it's transforming. That's what creates excitement, energy. That's life. I'm getting my second grandbaby next week, right? That's life. New life is being born and they will grow up. Our industry is growing up. It will always grow up. We should, let's see, revise, recast, reform, reshape, redesign, revamp, remake, remodel, redo, reorganize, restructure, re-engineer, right? We can do so much to our industry. There is a valuable need for associations. There is a valuable need for MLSs. It might not be what we've been doing for a long period of time. We could keep some of the good stuff, but the same way that Zillow has pivoted 3 times, Fathom has pivoted, Compass has pivoted. They came up with an idea, they tried it, for whatever reason it did or didn't work to the level that they had hoped, and they introduced another element or a product or a shift or a service. Keller Williams has pivoted. Even EXP has pivoted, right? Associations don't pivot easily. we like to be fairly stuck in our ways. Let's try and change that. Let's make sure that we aren't our own worst enemy, and that the enemy isn't the other guy. The enemy is because we are too stubborn to want to do things differently. Let's break the mold and let's show the Zillows of this world, or any new company or any new VC company, that we're not going to allow you to hijack our industry. Associations are important, we play a role. MLSs are important, we play a role. And here's the role, and let's then go do that better than anybody else. They will take it away from us if we start failing at what we do. And not all associations, some associations and MLSs are absolutely freaking awesome. But boy, there's a number of them that really suck at what they do. And don't be one of those. Don't be one of those that are subpar. If you have to merge, grow, consolidate, expand, get new technologies, get a new vendor, get a consultant, get a new business plan, get a new president, get a new board, get a new executive director, it doesn't matter what it is. Do whatever it takes to win. You've got that responsibility as a board member, or as the president, or as the executive officer. You've got a responsibility not to complain, but to make your association or MLS win.
Let me ask you this, because I've seen this posed, and I think it's a thoughtful question of, with Zillow joining and becoming true members as a brokerage, are they redefining a little bit? We talked about all these verticals that are happening amongst these companies, and Zillow's a huge example. They're not the only example, but here, because it's a recent entry, are they redefining what it means to be a member or a participant, where they are, a participant, they're a vendor, they're a institutional buyer, and so therefore, this is a very different subscriber, participant, member than what we're used to in this world, right?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. You're spot on. We have previously, and I think that's human nature, but we love to put things in boxes, right? We're going to put it in this box and then close the little door, lock it with a key, right? It's in that box. The new world of business is not that way. Did Uber redefine the box of a cab driver? Did Airbnb redefine the box that we call a hotel room? Did Netflix redefine the box of what we call video rental, right? Did people who got stuck in the box, think of people who got stuck in the box. Polaroid, it's a company which was formed after the Depression in 1937. And yet the Polaroid camera, I know it's making a little comeback as a vintage game.
Yeah, but they literally got stuck in the box, right?
Like they got stuck in the box, right? Yeah. And of course, Pan Am Airlines didn't go out of business, but Pan Am, which was founded in 1927, went out of business in 1991. Delta didn't go out of business. American Airlines didn't go out of business. I mean, I know they're struggling now, but so Pan Am was in the box. It wasn't the concept of airlines in the box. Compact Computers was formed at the same time, roughly as Apple computers. Apple redesigned itself, Compaq did not. Borders did not redesign itself, but Barnes & Noble did. So it's not the industry of books that's in a box. It's not the industry of computers in a box. It's not airlines in a box. It's the mindset of some individuals that led certain companies. And the same way that Kodak, Pan Am, Polaroid, Compaq, Borders, basically Blockbuster hit some kind of a hurdle or a wall, and therefore are no longer with us. Other companies actually went around, through, or over that wall. So the same for us. Is our industry in a box? Hell no. There are some players in our industry that have, by choice, put themselves in a box. Don't put yourself in a box. We can come out of that box. As an industry, no, don't worry, as an industry, the industry is not in a box. Because what will happen is the industry will just keep on redefining itself until it creates its own new paradigm for the future. And if we don't want to do that, other people will do that for us, whether that's Zillow or investment bankers or a player in an industry that takes an initiative, or somebody from a foreign country. They will redefine our box for us. Don't think you can hold on to your box. Your box is going to be squashed.
Our box in this case, especially as it relates to MLS, has largely been an association or a set of associations or broker-owned entity. And you talk about VC and all this investment that's coming in. Would you ever envision a day where an MLS, we're open to the idea of being more of a public entity to themselves be able to generate capital to be able to compete with these folks? I mean, that's clearly outside of the box, but is that something that is possible with the current structure, the makeup? Is it the limitations of our own approaches that are doing it? Is that something that you could envision happening?
Most certainly possible. And you know that Jack Miller is the president of T360. And when Jack reports to me and comes up with something, one of the first questions I always ask him, I say, why not? Why can't we do that? Right? So if I was an MLS executive, my answer would be the same to you. If you came to me, if you were a member or you were a board member and came to me and said, could we or could we not do that? I would say, why not? Why is that not on the table? I'm not saying it's the path to go. I'm not saying it's the solution to go. I'm not saying it's the only path. I'm saying, why do you think that that's not an option? In today's environment, there is always somebody with money, somebody who's smart, somebody who's saying, why can I not do that? And you can come up with all of the reasons that you think it's not a good idea. You've just talked yourself back into the box. There's another guy that's going to say, why not? He's your competitor. The competitors, Zillow's not the competitor. It's you not asking yourself the question, why can I, whoever I is, not do that? And then go find solutions and money and smarts and talent to do that. Absolutely.
So I know you pay attention to this, and the SPACs are kind of a new thing in terms of investment and all those things. But if you were to go and you're running that MLS and you're going to pitch to them or a venture capital group, and you're trying to sell the value proposition of investing in MLS, how would you approach that? Because I have asked this question of others, because these are the questions that competitors in the space have to answer, and yet we're not asking ourselves. What we always say, we got to come up with our value proposition. Through my strategic planning, it's always one of those things. We've got to get more clear on our value proposition. But if you were truly have to convince someone to part ways with their investments to back you, you can't just do these hypothetical. You have to produce real world value props. Do you think you could, as an executive for an MLS, position the MLS for investment?
I think the industry has to some part already done that themselves very well. CMLS has put out a campaign once or twice in the last 2 years. They had 1,000 Watt, Brian Barrera and Mark Davidson work on the value proposition of MLS. I think they did a great job. They were able to identify in a nutshell what it is. And I think the industry actually knows what it is. There are way more money being spent today on more crazy things than the MLS. The MLS is not crazy. The MLS is a very tangible, very real, very working value proposition. Now, we might not believe in ourselves. We might not work together or stand together, but MLS is not a crazy idea. How many times have we not said, I think CMLS said it at one stage, we're one of the few industries where competitors actually harmoniously work together for the betterment of the industry, so we can serve the consumer better, so we can bring buyers and sellers together. Oh boy, I could write a book, but I think that 1000 Watt and CMLS has already put you on the path. You don't need to look for more. They've done a great job.
Yeah, and there's a couple of questions on, what does the MLS consolidation, all those things look like? And, I think for me, we just recently released the Organized Real Estate 200 list where, we do the research and figure out, kind of what's the membership counts and, what percentage of folks are served by how many organizations. And we were talking before we came on here, it's not a celebratory thing. It's not an accomplishment. The facts are kind of the facts here. But for me, the value prop is in the holistic view of what's going on within organized real estate. Absolutely. And that there is a shift and a gravitation towards the largest entities serving a larger and larger portion of members. That's no different than what we're seeing demographics, or had been seeing demographics maybe until this last year, where large metropolitan areas were drawing all the populations. So,
Well, let me give you a quick shout out. Let me give you a quick shout out.
What's your, yeah.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go for it. I'll take a shout out.
I want to give you a shout out because I know how much work you put into what we call, organized real estate, the 200 or the 500. And yeah, people should get their attitudes right. The work which the Real Estate Almanac does every year, everything from the SP 200 to organized real estate, to the Mega 1000, to the top franchises, to the top holding companies, to the great work that Travis and Michelle and Jonathan and his team does on the Tech 500. It's not about being on the list, guys. Come on, right? Yes, of course, it's great to be on the list and it's great to get the acknowledgement, and when you get it, absolutely accept it. But it is, T360 is doing the heavy lift for you to try and do all the research to try and find out what is happening in the industry. Who are the biggest? Who are the ones growing? Where are the numbers? We are trying to validate the stats for you as much as possible. We can't unconditionally say that there's no mistakes in the report, because of course there could be mistakes. But we spend 1,000 hours plus every year on one project, the Real Estate Almanac. How many of you have spent 1,000 hours on any one project? It's a lot of time. And when you do spend 1,000 hours on one project, right, you know how much work you've put into it. You know how well you know that product. That's what the Almanac is. That's what the ORE 200 is. It is a disproportionate amount of effort by a bunch of smart people trying to pull the numbers together so that you, me, the user, all of us, can have a baseline. It's like the Wikipedia of real estate. You should use that as your go-to, not because there's another guy number one and you're not number one. This is not newsmakers of the year. We're not trying to promote something. This is not advertisers of the year. This is my favorite list of the year. This is our best dissection every first quarter of every year of the entire industry from top to bottom, taking a knife right through, cutting it like butter and saying, here's everything we see. This is your benchmark for this year. Next year, we'll come back and we'll update the entire benchmark for you. That's what it is. It's your encyclopedia online. Good work, Clint. Thank you for what you did on the list.
Yeah, and yeah, certainly far from perfection. It's weird that an industry that's predicated on accurate data doesn't maintain, or in some instances, is opposed to even sharing their data to begin with. So it's harder than you can imagine. But one of the interesting things, not only in terms of, the 20 or MLS is really serving 50% of all subscribers in the country, that's a pretty astounding number. But the other thing that was related to 2020 was the year-over-year growth. And I think, in a year where so many saw retractions or losses or things in their industry, we know that real estate continued to do quite well. And ultimately what we saw is year over year gains on both the association and MLS side. 69% of associations saw an increase year over year, and that average increase was about 6%. MLS's almost 2/3, 72% saw an increase year over year, and 8% on average. So that to me was really telling, especially when you go back. We did some flash polling of MLS and association executives right around that May timeframe, and only 25% were expecting they would see growth, and 50% were like, I expect a loss. And then there are some in the middle there saying we'll probably just hold service. But that's kind of an amazing reflection on real estate's wherewithal through this past year. Again, it's not about the associations or the MLSs, but again, the reflection on how well this industry did in a tumultuous time.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 in many regards was a devastating year from a political, medical, emotional, and of course global pandemic point of view, and never experienced before. And we've all heard that. We've seen it enough on television that we've had it up to here. I know I have. And many people, which we send our thanks over to the people that worked in, and of course the emergency services, the medicals, and the hospitals, and there's so many other industries which I'm not going to try and mention. But at the same time, many industries got devastated, right? The travel, the hospitality, the restaurants, just because of the unfortunateness of being in that space. We in real estate were blessed, almost to the opposite, almost to the opposite. That what other industries lost, we almost gained. Not at their expense, of course, but we almost gained. We are incredibly lucky that housing redefined itself. We're incredibly lucky that the way in which people could find houses, searches online became our new part-time hobby, right? It's now one of the most popular part-time activities, right? Is to go Zillowing online, or house with two Z's, right? Housing online, or so. I mean, my wife probably spends an hour a day on Zillow, right? And I already have a property. I'm not moving anywhere. I mean, I've got my stuff. She still Zillow's online, right? And if I say why, she says, it's better than Netflix. Wow, right? So we are lucky that we have a sexy, wonderful industry which people want. It's been redefined slightly because of space and location and working from home, and people want studies, and people want larger lots, and people might want to move out of cities. We'll have to see how much of that sticks, but that's been redefined a little bit. And at the same time, the mortgage rate has been disproportionately low to such an extent that money is almost free, right? So whether you're paying anything between, I don't know, 1.75% or 2.75%, I mean, that's like giving money away. And then the IRS will even give you a rebate on your mortgage payments as well. So wow, that's free. So thankfully, our associations were the beneficiaries, and the MLSs were the beneficiaries of a strong real estate market that was the beneficiary actually of COVID. So in this different, strange, abstract, crazy way, thank you, COVID. You contributed to the success of associations in some small part last year. It sounds crazy, but we were lucky. We were lucky. So I don't think associations did anything necessarily better. Many of them did step up. I mean, many of them did do things to help the neighborhoods, help their members. Some of them had charity drives. Many of them had Zoom meetings. Some of them reached out to their realtors. And those, of course, are the kind of good things that leaders do. You do step up. So those of you that did step up, well done. That was expected. You should have done that, but well done. Well done that you did. I'm proud of you.
It's interesting you bring that up. We just wrapped up kind of distilling all of our survey work of members, subscribers, participants from last year, and boiling those down and doing year-over-year comparisons there. And we did see an uptick for associations in terms of perceptions, but we saw a downtick for MLS. And, looking into the details, trying to kind of see what that was, I think there was a relevance quotient for associations. When they're out there speaking to essential service, those types of things, the advocacy component is kind of this mixed bag where it's an election year, and so sometimes there's an offset because they don't support my candidate, even though they're supporting the real estate oriented candidate rather than the other issues. But those types of movements, the change to education, so many people really ate up education last year, and being able to deliver it online. Saw an uptick there. MLS wise, I think it's to your point, Stefan. It's not just the consumers who are spending more time looking. The markets being as tight as they are, and being more in front of computers, and that I think subscribers and participants were in front of the computer more too. So there was more nitpicking about data. Data was one of the big drops in this year's year-over-year measurements in the technology, and so they were spending more time in there. So there's more nitpicking, and so that was interesting. Again, it's only so slight, but pronounced enough to understand that there was a change in those perceptions year over year about how the association performed and the MLS.
Yeah, I saw your analysis, and I wanted to comment.
This is where you grill me like we're in the office with the whiteboard, right?
Yeah, if we were at the office, we would have had a good session about that. And I can agree with your takeaway from that. I would also have said probably if I had to do the takeaway without your viewpoint into it, which I think is fine, is that as you said that the uptick or the downtick on the MLS was ever so slightly, it was really very, very small. And when you see a shift sometimes of 1% or less than 1% on an analysis, it's almost insignificant. It's almost within that margin of error because you're not interviewing exactly the same people. You're not interviewing exactly the same size of people, the constituents, even if both are statistically accurate. You're not sampling the same people at the same time of the year. There's other circumstances. So when something shifts a percentage point, I'll sometimes write it to the fact that it's just circumstantial and maybe we shouldn't read too much into it. I don't think that the MLSs did worse than the associations did. I think the numbers are small enough to say COVID had an impact and it was probably mixed and it's hard to measure. That would have been probably my takeaway. But I think your takeaway most certainly statistically is accurate. I mean, there was a number change. I just think it was small.
Yeah, and it is, and I mean, generally speaking, folks are satisfied. We just do it on a 4-point scoring system and then an associated rating. Generally speaking, associations and MLS are falling within the superior category, and they even bump up into exceptional, and then in a few instances into the good. And the only thing that regularly performs at an average level is MLS Mobile, which I'm sure everybody can probably relate to that. That's out into the field. But yeah, measuring at that finite level is the difference between some of these folks. And while it may not be percentage-wise great, I think there is that need to understand what is it? What is that small thing that makes this association or this MLS perceived differently? And unfortunately, that's kind of the world we operate in, because generally most people are like, yeah, I'm good. It's great.
So, and good is cool, right? Good is nice when you want to take it to a board of directors, but cool is super dangerous because cool makes people complacent, right? Because, well, I did a survey, I got 3.84. I'm okay, you're okay, so we're good. That is like perfect ground for an outsider to come and cut your legs out away from you. So pride yourself on the cool, take the cool. I mean, you earned it, so take it. But at the same time saying, now that you have less pressure on you because people think that what you do is cool, the purpose of the association cool, this is the time to use that opportunity to say, how do I redefine the rules that should I have to pull the trigger a year from now or 2 years from now, I actually have 2 or 3 options in my bag that I've already thought through, already funded, and I'm ready to do that. It's nice when you're playing poker and you've got an ace up your sleeve.
Well, unless someone finds out, that leads to a whole other set of issues. Hey, let me ask you this. So I think there was a question in the question section about the danger report. I did actually a podcast recently where I went back and reviewed the danger report from 5 years ago, and kind of did some assessment, and there were some interesting takeaways for me on that. I don't know if you've looked back on that or thought about what that looks like going forward, but what are your thoughts on the danger report, its relevance, the things that we got right that maybe we're slightly off? So much of what I saw was really very much still relevant. It's just maybe the timing elements that didn't play out as quickly as some might have projected. But it was interesting read to go back. I had forgotten about some of the elements of it, and to now do it in the context of today, and especially this last year, I thought it was super insightful for me.
The danger report was never meant to be predictions. It was never supposed to be your passport to heaven, right? All it was a checklist for you to sit down with your leadership, whether you're a brokerage company, a team, a management company, association, MLS, as a checklist and say, one of the most respected research companies in the industry went and spoke with a very, very large number of smart people, leaders, executives, people at the rock face, agents, because we surveyed over also 10,000 agents plus, and gather that information, cleaned out the localization, parochialness, and politics from it, and try to give it to us in a objective, neutral checklist so that I could sit and say, okay, they're warning me that outsiders are going to come to the industry. Okay, I get it. I understand it, or I don't understand it. I need more information. I don't think it's going to happen, or I do think it's going to happen. And then to build a counter strategy to it if you thought it was important. And if you said, oh, well, that guy's full of hot air. It's not going to happen in my town. My town is different. My zip code, no change ever happens. If that's what you thought, then you'd have just put an X against it and said, I don't believe it's going to happen. The danger report will still be somewhat applicable today because we did not identify specific dangers. We referred to dangers as concepts, as broad speaking. We said that outsiders would enter the industry, if I remember correctly, right? And did they? Hell yes, of course they did. Now, would I still say that same principle today? Sure. I don't think it's come to an end yet. It will still happen. We should do an update to the danger report simply because that study, the report came out 6 years ago, and the study was done the year preceding to that. So we're now sitting at roughly 7-year-old data. And you know as well as I do that the market changes fairly rapidly. We don't have to worry about what happened yesterday. If you're responding to what happened yesterday, you're on the wrong timeline, buddy. Get back with the program. But also you can't work on a decade-long program. I mean, that's too long. So we need information, I don't know, once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. I mean, on a somewhat frequent basis. And I think that the danger report now, there's so much happened that was somewhat forewarned that has now occurred where we can now get more deeper analysis of what happened that will allow us to further validate and portray that actual trend or aspect. So I do think that the danger report is a fascinating read, but I do think we should try and see if we could do a new one in the next 12 months or 18 months.
Awesome. Well, look forward to that opportunity. Yeah, things have changed for sure. I do have one kind of closing question for you, but before we get there, it seems working at T360 this year, it's been a press release a week of things being rolled out. And to the point where I know you said, we've got a moratorium on these ideas, but we can't keep doing this. But could you speak a little bit to, the T3 Intel, the Real Estate Apprentice Foundation? Those are kind of a couple of newer ones along with our T3 Marketplace. But the Intel and the Apprentice Foundation, I think those are passion projects, not only for you, but for those of us at the company. Could you talk a little bit about those?
Sure, yes. Moratorium. No new projects. And then I am the first one to break
How'd that work out, by the way?
Yeah, naughty Stefan. Sorry, naughty Stefan. Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Kelly. Sorry, corporate team. I keep on creating new stuff. Yeah. Me, the entrepreneur, guilty as charged. Penalty will be to be CEO for another year. Intel is my way of taking the information that I and T3 and RealSure and the people on the T3 team have created in the last T360 through its predecessor RealSure, which we absorbed into the company. This year is 22 years old. So in our 22 years, we have written approximately 50 books and or reports and or major studies. And a lot of that information is, yes, dated, but very valuable, even if you read it within its dated context, because you can see the shift, the change, the trend, the numbers, the statistics, you can see the evolution of something. And that path teaches you. But many of our reports were in print. Most of them, as a matter of fact, most of the reports were published, and our reports generally sell out very quickly. Like the 2021 Trends Report, which came out last month in January, is completely sold out. I'm regrettably, you can go to T3 Trends or RE Trends, go get one. They're sold out. There's no more. So many of our reports sell out, which means that if you come to the party late, if you don't pre-order T360 stuff, you won't get it. And because our goal is, yes, of course, to make some money, but the goal is also to share the knowledge. We wanted to create a vehicle where we could take the previous information and make it available theoretically forever, anywhere, anytime, any format, any platform, including mobile. So T3 Intel is truly the real estate intelligence platform that aggregates the information and research that T360 has done. We will expand it past that. We are already talking to some other entities to also load their information on there. So it's not just going to be T3 information, it's going to be way wider than that. But I want to create the, if I may say so, or dare say so, the WebMD of real estate. So if you want, if you want something about medicine, even if you're not a doctor, of course, you go to a doctor. We'd recommend.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't want to know what they're telling me, Stefan. Maybe as an organizational leader, you don't want to know some of these things, because sometimes when I Google stuff on that one, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
If you're going to have a heart attack, or if you had a heart attack, it's probably better that you know, right? If you have cancer, it's probably better that you know.
Fair.
So yeah, I get it. I get that the messages can be bad, but the WebMD is there to allow any executive or leader or board member or association executive or broker or manager or team leader, those times at night when you're thinking about things and you don't know what to do, or you're uncertain, or you're looking for research. And sure, you can go to Inman. Sure, you can go to Google. Sure, you can try and Facebook something, but you're going to get generic, broad-based, unintelligent, commercially driven, keyword sensitive advertising material most of the time. What we try to do in T3 is we've taken all of that out. There is no keyword advertising, AdWords, banner ad kind of stuff. We've taken the material. When we've written a chapter about iBuyers, we know that iBuyers is also sometimes referred to as direct buyers or direct selling. We also know that companies like Redfin do it. We also know that Zillow does it. So we can tie those things together because T3 understands inside baseball. And because we understand inside baseball, we can link these things together. So when you go to t3intel.com and you type in iBuyers, you're going to get everything we've written about that topic, everything together so that the results are meaningful. And you can grab every chapter, every book, every report, and you can download it or look at it as a PDF, and you can study it and do something with it. That's the point of trying to get information accessible to you. Real Estate Apprentice Foundation, completely something different, That is a 501c for 501c3 that I spent most of last year during COVID downtime to create. I had a fight with the IRS to try and create a national organization that is going to be can I call it the charity of the industry? It's not owned by NAR, it's not owned by T3, it's not owned by one franchise. It is a charity, a nonprofit that I've tried to create for the industry, by the industry, to support and serve underrepresented and underprivileged people and communities. We had a lot of the protests last year. We had a lot of the rioting last year. Whether you're on either side of the fence, we acknowledge that it is always good to do better for people that do not have what we have. We are supposed to all give back. Real estate has been very kind to me, to T3. We are blessed. And I wanted to create a vehicle whereby many times when you want to do something for, let's say, underprivileged people, you don't have a vehicle, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to give, even if you just want to give $100, or if you're an association want to give, $5,000, $10,000. We've just had an association last week. Their board came together and they donated to the Apprentice Foundation $10,000. We haven't even announced it yet, but we signed the contract. We'll be announcing it next week, and they're going to put a challenge out to all other associations to say, can you step up? Because if we as an industry, if the associations and the MLSs, we're starting to talk to some of the big franchises to see if they could maybe give us 6 figures. We've just had one of the large coaching companies stand up and say they think they'll be willing to give 6 figures. If we can together collect a few $1 million a year and put that as a focused, direct effort towards helping underprivileged and underrepresented people in our community, maybe we can improve the situation for Black and Asian and Hispanic and other race groups and LGBTs and women. So this is not a Black Lives Matter movement. This is helping anybody who would like to enter the real estate industry to pursue a new career in real estate and does not have the means to do so. We're not going to be giving out just money randomly. The intention is that we can give them licensing exams, we can give them teaching moments, we can give them mentoring moments, we can give them coaching, we can give them association membership, we can give them MLS membership, we can give them things that we already have and that we know on your career path towards success you are going to need. This is not just, oh, well, we'll write you a check and here's a check and you can become a realtor. There will be milestones, there will be markers, there will be places that you have to certify that you've achieved it. Otherwise, you're not going to qualify to the next bar. We're not going to support one real estate company above another. We don't dictate where you can go. The law prevents us from doing that. We are here to help the charity support the industry. Let's make our industry a better industry that we will be proud of in the road ahead.
I think that's a good transition. And I had one other question I was going to ask you, but I feel like we're up against our time, and that one will take you longer. So I'm going to ask you this one. Tell me about, and this real estate foundation, I think is plays into this. How do you envision your legacy on real estate playing out? I mean, not that you're going out to pasture anytime soon, but you're doing things like this that are legacy oriented, that go beyond just the individual impact to an industry scale. So I know that you'll talk less about this one. How do you hope that your legacy is remembered in this industry?
I have no further needs personally to satisfy my life. I am comfortable, and I have got to a stage, and I think you can see it through the writings that we do. Like the Trends Report doesn't even carry outside advertising, and it doesn't promote one company above another. I am a big proponent of fairness. I'm a big proponent of objectivity. I'm a big proponent of equality. I'm a big proponent of giving people opportunities. And if I can, through my teachings or writings or learnings or consulting or foundations, make this industry more fair, more objective, more balanced, more neutral, and create more opportunities for other people to have a happy, successful, and prosperous life in an industry that I have been in since my 25th birthday. I did not intend to go into it. I'm an engineer from background. I studied engineering. I did not like engineering. I left it the year I became, I graduated and registered as one. I left it. I left my wife in it. She's still in it. But I left my wife in it, and I turned to real estate by happenstance, right? I was invited to become a CEO of a realtor association at the age of 26. And I did not know what I was getting into. I did not even know how to spell realtor. Didn't know what a realtor was at the age of 26. But that was close to 40 years ago. And they have been my life ever since. And I might say I might give my life for the realtor world. So we hope that we can become a proud profession and be what we would like to be, which I think we can.
Yeah, I think opportunity is one of the great strengths of this industry, is that so many can come here and find success, even if they didn't know they wanted to be here to begin with. That happenstance is exactly how I think I got here, and many others. Stefan, truly a pleasure. Thank you. I'm humbled that I'm on what you said, two hands of folks that have ever got to interview you. It was a great conversation, and hopefully everybody enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in. And we will be sending out copies of today, and there's all sorts of links in the chat, so you can pick those up and run with those. But thanks again, Stefan. Have a great day. Mahalo, I believe is what you say, right?
My pleasure to everybody on the call. Have a fantastic 2021.